Browns owner Jimmy Haslam suggesting that Deshaun Watson has a chance to be the starter for Cleveland this upcoming season, when it feels like, didn't he just say like a year ago that they wanted to trade him? They didn't want him a part of the organization anymore. And now the owner of the Browns saying that Deshaun Watson could be the starter this season.
Well, yeah, I mean, opinions change when no one wants to trade for Deshaun Watson, right? When no one wants to trade for your quarterback, or, you know, if you're the 49ers with Brandon Ayuk, if no one wants to trade for him, then all of a sudden, sure, he can be on the team and start if he wants to, right? So Deshaun Watson last played football in 2024. He started in 7 games. He threw for 5 touchdowns.
Hold on, say that again. He last played in 2024.
2024. He has not played a full-ish season of football. I guess technically a full season in 2020. 16 games in 2020. 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions in 2020. In 2021, he did not play for reasons obvious. In 2022, he played in 6 games. In 2023, he played in 6 games. And in 2024, he played in 7 games. He threw for 5 touchdowns. He threw 3 interceptions. And he was sacked. Let's see how many times. That can't be right. He was sacked 33 times in 7 games. I had to make sure that wasn't like
he took a lot of sacks.
I had to make sure that wasn't a total of the last 3 years.
No.
He
took a lot.
You know, like on Pro Football Reference, how you can make the yellow line. And well, you know how you can like take the yellow line and like break it through the whole. I had to highlight the year and go over and be like 33 times for Deshaun Watson. Now, they did restructure his deal, so it's not as bad. They did the new thing, the new cool thing in the NFL is to push all of the salary into void years after the player is no longer under contract. So this year is the last year of Deshaun Watson's contract with the Cleveland Browns. He has a cap hit of $45 million. That is what they are going to pay him. He's going to get paid $45 million. And then next year, Deshaun Watson is no longer a Brown. This contract is over for them, but they are still going to pay him a ton of money, $35 million in 27, 28, he gets $25 million, and so on and so forth until like 2030. They're going to be paying out this contract. But the point is, he doesn't have to be the Browns' problem anymore after this year, and no one wants to trade for him. So if you're going to be paying him $45 million, you might as well see what he has. And if he's going to get a chance to compete, why not say there's an open competition between him, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. There's nothing wrong with going into OTAs, going into camp, and saying open competition, because competition brings out the best in your 3 quarterbacks. And if Shedeur Sanders wins the job, so be it. If Dylan Gabriel wins the job, so be it. If Deshaun Watson he's proved he can't stay healthy. So if he wins the job and doesn't stay healthy, the worst option that you have is, okay, Shedeur Sanders takes over. So I don't see this for the Browns. Obviously, it's a bad situation, but it's not the worst thing in the world to say open comp. They're not just handing him the job.
Yeah, okay. So, that's certainly something to point out there. It is also kind of, once again, you have an owner who may not be in lockstep with the GM. We had the story yesterday that Andrew Berry said on Sunday at these same meetings that he was thinking that it's realistic that the Browns could bring in another quarterback in this offseason. Well, free agency has really come and gone. There's only a couple names still out there who you could realistically bring in. Kirk Cousins being one. We'll update a mention with Cousins in a different scenario in the NFL coming up in a moment. Mm-hmm. But so that would mean in the draft.
Yep.
Well, the Browns, you just drafted 2 quarterbacks last season.
Yep.
So you're not going to draft a quarterback in this year's draft, especially with who we have coming out as quarterbacks, where you got one guy at the top of the board. You have a bunch of guys fighting for that second position. Ty Simpson is the guy, but he's not a first-round quarterback. So are you taking him high in the second round? What do you do with that? Like, I don't think that's realistic for the Cleveland Browns to take a quarterback in this year's draft. So Todd Monken's the new head coach. he has the opportunity now to kind of start fresh with all of these guys. Deshaun Watson clearly hasn't stayed healthy, and when he has been out there, he's sucked. He hasn't been good.
Dude,
no,
33 sacks in 7 games.
Think about it is. I can't recall a player in a sport who was at the pinnacle. Like, there were conversations for a brief moment in time.
Yeah.
That Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes were on an even playing field when their careers in the NFL started. Like, that was the conversation. Like, look at what, and remember what Dabo Swinney said before Deshaun entered the NFL? When he was entering the NFL draft process? Dabo Swinney, his famous quote about Deshaun Watson was, "That's Michael Jordan in football cleats."
Yep.
And in the first couple seasons with the Texans, that's how Watson played. He was incredible.
Yeah.
The stuff off the field takes place. He ends up in Cleveland. He's always injured now. And when he's been healthy and he's been out there, he looks like 45% of the player that he was to start his career. Like, he's absolutely terrible now. Mm-hmm. So to suggest that Deshaun Watson is going to be in an open competition with Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel, and they're going to battle it out, and your GM's also saying that I might throw someone new into the mix to figure this out for the Cleveland Browns, it's not a good situation, but it also, I think, indicates that you may have an owner who's not on the same page with the GM on how to build this.
With the Browns? You don't say.
You don't say.
You don't say. An interesting tweet from Ian Rappaport about 3 minutes ago. Ty Simpson, one of the NFL Draft's top players at his position, has scheduled top 30 visits with the Cardinals, the Dolphins. He has already had a private workout with the Jets and has a visit with the Browns.
Okay, so, if you're Cleveland and you look at this situation, Cleveland heading into the draft, I think Ty Simpson is a little rich for the 6th overall pick.
Yeah.
You're not doing that. You need a lot of help. Now, Cleveland does also have the Jacksonville pick at 24 in the first round. I would still think it's a little rich. Now, if you mention the places where Ty Simpson could land, the Jets have 2 picks, and both of those 2 picks are ahead of what the Browns have at 6 and 24.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that would be the smart move for the New York Jets either. But clearly, with Simpson already having a private workout with the New York Jets, that's in play. No. I think there's some other teams perhaps could be interested in the first round. But at 24, that might be the spot. And then I think more realistically, in what would be a better fit. I know teams get desperate, but the 39th overall pick, which is 7th in the second round, that's Cleveland's spot. That would make a lot of sense to take Ty Simpson with the 39th overall pick. That would make sense.
I don't think Ty Simpson is going to last that long. The way it's trending right now, Ty Simpson might not get out of the first round. You might see a situation where teams will trade up back into the first round for him at 30, 31, or 32. You might see a team trade back, a team that doesn't need their first round pick, just continue to stockpile draft picks in the second and third round. They continue to move back, and then eventually they take Ty Simpson. I also see this, and it's weird to say with the Browns. The Browns aren't going to be horrible next year. The Browns' projected win total on DraftKings is 7.5 right now, 6.5 right now. So if they win 7 games, they're not in play for the number 1 overall pick. They're not in play for the 2nd overall pick or maybe even the 3rd overall pick. So you're talking the 4th or 5th best quarterback it's a very quarterback rich draft. One of the best quarterback classes we've seen in a long time.
Next year.
But You're not talking about the Arch Manning or Dante Moore. You're not talking about the best of the best. So you're in a position right now where you're saying, should we take, if we don't like what we see, if Todd Monken doesn't like Shedeur Sanders after he looks at tape and after, obviously you have to make this decision before OTAs. You have to make this decision before you get to training camp and all of that. Does he not like Dylan Gabriel? Obviously, Deshaun Watson's not going to be on the team anymore. Do you take Ty Simpson and have him sit for a year and watch and learn? Or you could obviously throw him into the fire if he wins the job and develop for a year. He's going to have a very strong defense. We talk about that being the recipe for a young quarterback. They had one of the best defenses in the NFL last year. They have a very strong, capable of preserving leads or not limiting damage if there are turnovers with that defense. So it's not the worst idea in the world to take Ty Simpson if you're going to kind of wrap him in bubble wrap for a year.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to look at it. I think there is one thing that's not correct in the viewpoint on how the Browns will look at this season. Like, Todd Monken's not going to wait around. And I think about it, for being a career coordinator, a guy that's a little bit older, getting his first shot at being a head coach, Todd Monken's been passed over multiple times. He's interviewed for jobs. He's been up for jobs. He hasn't gotten the job. He's finally gotten the job. He's not going to sit around hoping that a quarterback turns out in college football so they can draft him at the top of the board next season. They're going to try and win this year. So I do think there's an element of that added to the conversations. Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app.